This happened recently, and I want to be clear before I tell you. This is not a dramatic story. Nobody got hurt, nothing was destroyed, no massive confrontation happened, but I have not been able to stop thinking about it. Because sometimes it is the smallest things, the ones that should not matter, that reveal something about the world we are all sharing that stays with you longer than you expect. A woman moved my groceries off a checkout belt so she could take my place in line. Two items, a village store, one cashier, and an entitlement so complete and so casual that she did not even blink. This is that story. I want you to understand the setting first, because it matters. This is not a busy supermarket in a city. It is not one of those places where people are anonymous and in a hurry and looking at their phones and barely registering the humans around them. This is a small village store, the kind of place with one cashier, the kind of place where the person ringing you up has probably known your name for years, where if you come in with a full cart and someone behind you has one or two items, you wave them ahead without being asked, because that is just how things work there. Unspoken, understood, respected. I have always liked that about small stores. There's a kind of social contract that operates in them that feels increasingly rare. People are aware of each other. People adjust for each other. Nobody has to be reminded that the person next to them is a person. It is a chill atmosphere, respectful, the kind of place that reminds you that communities can still function with basic consideration for one another. Or at least that's what I thought going in that day. I had come in for two items, grated cheese for my daughters. That was it. Quick trip, in and out. I found what I needed and got in line behind a woman who was still unloading her cart onto the belt. While I was waiting, one of the store employees approached me. She was trying to figure out if she had picked the right type of noodles for a particular dish. It happened to be a dish I make regularly, so I knew immediately she had the wrong ones. She asked if I could help her find the right kind. My two items were already sitting on the belt. The woman ahead of me had not even finished paying yet. I figured, this will take 30 seconds. I'm not losing my place. My groceries are right there. I stepped away, pointed the employee to the right noodles, and turned around to walk back. The whole thing took less than a minute. When I got back to the belt, my items were gone. Not misplaced, not moved to the side by accident, gone from where I had placed them. And in their place, a woman I had not seen before, cart about half full, already unloading her groceries onto the belt, completely settled in, like she had been there the whole time. I stood there for a second, just taking in what I was looking at. My items had been physically picked up and removed from the conveyor belt so that this woman could place her own things down. I looked around briefly to make sure I wasn't misreading the situation, that maybe someone else had been in front of me and I had forgotten, that maybe there was some version of this that made sense. There wasn't. My items were sitting off to the side, her items were on the belt, and she was unloading as though the transition had been completely normal. I walked up and I asked her, politely, what she was doing. And she looked at me. That specific kind of look that contains everything and nothing at the same time. A look that says, I have heard you, I have registered you, and I have decided that you are not relevant to what I am doing. And then she turned back to her cart and kept unloading. Just like that. No explanation, no apology, no acknowledgement that she had moved another person's groceries, no acknowledgement that I had been standing in that line before her. Nothing. Just the stink eye, and then back to business. I want to tell you that I said something sharp, that I held my ground in a way that felt satisfying, but the honest version of this story is that I stood there for a moment and made a decision. This is a village store. The cashier is a teenager who grew up here. Half the people in that building probably know each other by name, and I'm someone who lives in this community, who will come back to this store, who will see these people again. Making a scene, even a justified one, in a space that small, carries a cost that extends beyond the moment. So, I picked up my 2 items, I stood back, I waited for her to finish. I stepped up when it was my turn, I paid, and I walked out. Not because what she did was acceptable, not because I was afraid of her, but because I made a choice about what kind of energy I was going to spend in that space that day, and turning a 2-item grocery run into a public confrontation was not where I wanted to put it. That choice didn't feel great in the moment. There's a specific kind of frustration that comes from choosing restraint, where part of you is completely at peace with the decision, and another part of you is standing there watching the injustice of it replay in slow motion. I walked toward the exit, and that's when I saw it. She was getting into a car parked directly in the loading zone, right outside the entrance, the space clearly marked for loading and unloading only, not a parking space. And somehow that detail finished the picture completely. Someone who parks where they are not supposed to park, someone who takes space that is not theirs to take, someone who moves another person's things without a word and stares right through you when you say something about it. It was all the same thing, just different surfaces of the same person, someone for whom the rules that everyone else quietly agrees to simply do not apply. Before I left, the young cashier caught my eye. She apologized to me. This teenager who had nothing to do with any of it, who had been standing there watching the whole thing unfold from behind her register, felt the need to say sorry. And that, more than anything else that happened in that store, is what stayed with me. Because she apologized on behalf of a situation she didn't create, because she was embarrassed that something unkind had happened in a space she cares about, because she understood, at whatever age she is, that what just happened was not how things are supposed to work. I told her it was absolutely not her fault, that she had nothing to apologize for, and I meant it completely, but I kept thinking about it on the drive home. Here's the thing about a story like this. On paper, it's minor. 2 items, a belt, a woman who didn't want to wait. Nobody was hurt, nothing was broken, life went on. But I think the small moments of entitlement bother us so much precisely because of how casual they are. A dramatic act of cruelty, something big and obvious, at least requires effort, at least signals that the person doing it knows they are crossing a line. But moving someone's groceries off a belt without a word, staring through them when they ask what is happening, parking in a loading zone and driving away, that's entitlement in its most comfortable form. The kind that doesn't need to explain itself, the kind that doesn't even register the other person as someone worth acknowledging. And that casualness is what lingers, not the act itself, but the ease of it. Teenagers who apologize for something that had nothing to do with it. Because what she was really doing, without knowing it, was acknowledging me, saying, I see what happened. I see that it was not right. I see you. And sometimes that's all we actually need from another person, not a dramatic correction, not someone confronting the person who wronged us on our behalf, just to be seen, to have someone stand in the same moment with us and quietly confirm that yes, that happened, and no, it was not okay. We live in a world where people are increasingly willing to treat the space around them as entirely their own, where the unspoken agreements that make communities function, the small courtesies, the awareness of the person behind you in line, the understanding that a loading zone is not a parking spot, are quietly being abandoned. And most of the time, none of us say anything because it's minor, because it's not worth the confrontation, because we have chosen, wisely or not, to absorb it and move on. But I think it's worth naming, even just here, even just to say, the small courtesies matter, The awareness of the people around you matters. The teenager behind the register who apologizes for something she didn't do understands something that the woman with the cart evidently never learned. Be the cashier, not the woman with the cart. The world already has enough of those.